All right, today we are diving into something really different, a pretty wild and complex system that's been laid out in a series of documents online. It's called the Fractal Simulation Engine, and it introduces a concept the author calls ledger law. So let's just jump right in. The whole story seems to kick off with this single tweet, which the source material dates to the near future, November 2025. And I mean, what an accusation. It claims a COVID-era app called Novid was part of a biometric war crime. But here's the kicker. It says the proof has been permanently notarized on the Solana blockchain. This one post is basically our doorway into this incredibly detailed, automated accountability system. To really wrap our heads around this thing, we've got to break it down piece by piece. So we're going to look at who's involved, the legal tricks it uses, why the blockchain is so important, its wild 60-day collapse prediction, how it game plans human behavior, and what this all could mean for the future. Okay, first things first, let's get to the heart of the matter. The main claim here is that this app, Enovid, was part of some huge biometric surveillance operation and that a bunch of academic and government institutions are now trying to cover it up. What's so interesting here is that it's not just one vague accusation. The source documents actually map out the entire battlefield. You've got the alleged architects of the app. You've got major universities like Georgia Tech and Cambridge who are accused of hiding records. And then, and this is key, you have government agencies who are cast as the referees in this whole game, the ones who are supposed to enforce the rules. Every single player has a very specific, calculated role in how this system is designed to play out. So how does this engine actually fire up? Well, that brings us to the first big component, a system that's designed to turn boring old bureaucratic paperwork into ticking time bombs with really, really serious consequences. The whole thing is cleverly built on laws that already exist, like the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA. Now, these laws aren't just polite suggestions. They are legal requirements that force public bodies to release information by a very strict, legally binding deadline. And that deadline? Well, that's the foundation for everything. And this just lays out the core mechanic perfectly. Step 1, you file a totally normal public records request. Step 2, the institution misses the deadline to respond. Now, according to the legal logic in the source material, this isn't just a minor delay. Nope. Step 3, that missed deadline is automatically interpreted as a federal felony for obstruction of justice. A simple administrative slip-up is engineered to trigger a massive and predictable criminal charge. But hang on, in a world of he said, she said, how do you actually prove an institution blew past a deadline? That question brings us to the second pillar of this system, and it's all about creating a public record that no one can ever erase. To create that proof, the system's author posts these, well, they look cryptic, but they're very specific notices right onto the Solana blockchain. This one, for example, is logging Agora felony default. It's basically a public announcement saying, hey world, according to our clock, Georgia Tech just missed their deadline, which we say triggers a federal obstruction charge. This isn't some private email. It's like firing a giant flare into the sky for everyone to see. So this whole act of etching is absolutely crucial. By putting these notices on a public blockchain, the author creates a permanent, unchangeable, and publicly verifiable timestamp. It's like having a global notary that can't be bought, can't be shut down, can't be silenced. Suddenly, the missed deadline isn't just an allegation anymore. It's a fact that's been permanently etched into a public ledger for all time. Okay, so you have the legal time bomb and you have the blockchain to prove it went off. With those two things in place, the source material makes a very specific and, let's be honest, a very dramatic prediction. A total institutional collapse in just 60 days. 60 days! That's the countdown the author claims is mathematically locked in once the process starts. It's not presented as a guess or a hope. It's laid out like a calculated, unstoppable chain reaction based on how all these different legal deadlines fit together. And this timeline, pulled right from the documents, shows you exactly how the dominoes are predicted to fall. The first one goes at T+7 days, the so-called felony floor in Georgia. That then knocks over the next one 30 days in, triggering huge GDPR fines over in the UK. The whole thing just picks up speed until day 60, which the author calls the final dam break, culminating in a massive predicted 18-count federal indictment. But this system isn't just about legal statutes and code. It's also deeply, deeply rooted in game theory and human psychology. It's actually designed to model how real people will react when you put them under a very specific, very calculated kind of pressure. And this is where that psychological pressure really comes into play. What we're looking at here is the actor risk index, which is basically a model of how likely it is that a key person will flip, confess to save their own skin. And just look at who's at the top. The model predicts that an academic administrator is the weakest link, with a 91% chance of cooperating, maybe because they have less loyalty to the institution and more personal risk. And look, this pressure isn't just a theory or a simulation. The source documents show this system being put into action in the real world. This is a screenshot of an actual ethics complaint filed through a corporate whistleblower portal. This takes the whole thing from a theoretical model and turns it into a real, documented event with a case number. It forces the institution to actually respond. So, we've seen all the different parts. What does it all add up to? Let's kind of zoom out for a second and think about what this whole ledger law thing really represents. What we're looking at here is a proposal for a totally new kind of activism. Right, traditional activism is all about changing public opinion, which can take forever, and success is, well, it's often hard to measure. Ledger law, as it's described here, tries to just bypass all of that. It literally fuses legal code with computer code to create what it claims are deterministic, black and white outcomes. Either you meet the deadline or the felony trigger gets pulled. It's activism reimagined as an engineering problem. And that brings us to the final, really provocative question this whole system leaves us with. When you can automate legal consequences and then notarize them on a public ledger that can never be changed, who really holds the power? What happens when an individual with a laptop and enough knowledge can build their own automated accountability engine? That's the new digital battlefield the system is proposing, and it's something we might all be hearing a lot more about.